Hello everybody, I thought I'd come out here today. It's the beginning of the weekend and my goal is to put the trim around the windows and the door and the batten strips on and get the door for the chickens to release them into the run area. I'd like to get all that finished up this weekend. So I'll kind of show you what the plan is and we'll get going. Okay, yeah, what I'd like to do is put the batten strips on that cover these gaps and put the trim around the window and the door. Normally what I do is I will cut these at 2 inches wide, about a 3/4 of an inch thick. So I'm going to need quite a bit of it to do the entire building. Then I'd also like to come over here this weekend. I still have to cut in the door to let the chickens out into the run. And I believe I'm going to do that right over here. I'll end up cutting out one of these boards, possibly putting a metal door in with a latch so I can latch it open or latch it shut to make it good and secure. So anyway, I think the first step is we're gonna have to fire up the sawmill, and I believe I've got the top of a tree laying over here from, yeah, there's a tree over here that I cut the other day to finish up the siding, and it looks like there's still a pretty good sized chunk of it left there. That looks to be about 10-inch diameter or so. So I think first step is I'll cut another chunk off of that and get that over to the sawmill and fire that up and start cutting. Okay, the first thing we're going to want to do is make a cant out of this. Basically, see how big of a square piece of wood that we can get out of the round. Make it as big as possible, and then we can start cutting that into sections. Okay, that locks the log onto the saw, so it can't move around. And it looks like I can get about an 8x7 or 8x8 cant out of here, which will yield quite a few batten boards. also need to measure up to make sure the center of your log is level on both ends, so that when you cut, you're not getting a big chunk off of one end and nothing off the other. You want to use the best corner log, which is the center. So what I usually do is I'll measure up. Let's say this end is 8 inches up to the center, and that end is 9. I'll put a 1-inch spacer under this end so they're both level. Get the most usable wood out of the log. Okay, now that I have a cant, I'll measure it and determine what the best way to cut it is to get the most yield and the most batten boards out of it. Something satisfying about taking a tree that's dead out in the woods, cutting it into a usable piece of oak, and this one isn't like furniture quality, but this would be great for the chicken coop, and always enjoy making something useful out of it. And this will all go in the firewood pile, all the scrap wood. All right, let's see how many boards we got out of that. We got like 2, 4, 5, 6. We got 8 boards, 1 by. I went ahead and did them 1 inch thick instead of 3/4. And so we got 8 of those, and we can get 3 cuts the other way, so we'll hit 24 batten strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not quite enough, but it'll be real close. You'll probably have to get the other log, cut it up. Then I'll have left over for trim too. So I'm gonna get these all stacked up and we can cut them the other way. Well, we got 24 batten boards. That will be plenty to get started on. Here we go. All free except for a little bit of fuel. When I am finished with the coop, I plan on coming up with a total for y'all on how much the coop actually cost, any fasteners, the concrete. I guess I could even include an estimate on how much fuel for the saw and come up with an idea about the total cost for it. So it's getting late now. It's probably almost 8 o'clock. I'm going to call it a night and we can get out here tomorrow and put some up and maybe cut a few more batten boards. Not the prettiest trim job, but just fine for a chicken coop, I reckon. Okay, we're making some progress here. I have the batten boards on this side, each screwed in to that gap in between the boards, and the trim around the window and the door. I worked my way around this side, and I have batten boards on most of it. Just the two middle ones there are missing. I have the door here for the chickens to use. I have that framed out, and I think I'm going to use a steel door for that. Just a little small steel door with a latch at the bottom, and then it'll flip up and a latch on top. I still have to work my way around the back side with the batten boards, but we're making progress here. Well, good morning, everybody. I loaded another log on the sawmill. I need to cut some more batten boards up, and then we should be able to wrap up the build on the chicken coop today. The only thing that will be left, other than outfitting the inside with some nest boxes, will be the little doors. I think I decided to put one little chicken door on each side of the coop. I'll probably only use the one side, but if needed, I can always use the other door also. If not, I'll just leave it shut. Won't hurt to have it there. It'd just be easier to put it in now as opposed to later. So anyway, I'm gonna get going on that today. Alrighty, I'll get a ladder, fasten the top, and then finish framing out around the secondary door here for the chickens. And we're about ready to wrap it up. Okay, batten boards are all on. I framed out the little chicken door on this side. Batten boards and trim are done. Window opens easily. That's pretty good for this week, I would say. Next step is going to be outfitting the inside and putting the metal doors on the little chicken doors. And maybe foam on the roof. And we'll just about be ready for some chickens.